So many times when it comes to racism, people don't know, they get awkward about it. It's an awkward conversation. They don't know what to say, how to respond. It could be in a joking manner and they don't know whether to laugh, to be quiet. No one likes awkwardness. So I think it's the best time to do it there and then, but also giving the people the tools and the education around how to intervene in that moment.
Before the moment, we can educate people to understand what racism is, the impacts of it, and what actions we can take to ensure that, our sport environments are safe and inclusive for all participants.
A lot of instances at community level of racism are not dealt with effectively, not because people don't have the right intent. Often they don't know the steps or actually what options are available to them to support the victim in the best way.
What clubs can do behind closed doors before the instance happens is to create some education around the club.
I believe associations can really make a big impact if they continue to involve people of all backgrounds.
Part of the problem here is people don't understand racism. They don't understand what's racist, what's not. And then the other part is they don't even know what to do.
Before the moment, there's lots of things you can do. One, I think, is ensuring that your club is set up to be a safe space. So you can have lots of imagery, posters, you can join in various campaigns, be them national campaigns or create your own localised campaigns so that everyone around the club knows that it's a club that will stand up for this. Another really important thing is to just constantly review your policies.
In regards to on the basketball court when I was a player, there was a lot of comments from spectators, and that was probably a good 5 to 6 years ago when I was playing. Now that I'm a coach and I'm running a basketball association, I see a lot of young people still experiencing that from spectators. I see referees going directly against some of our young people from different backgrounds, and supervisors that don't really understand the situation, so they don't really support when someone goes through an experience that is deemed racist.
If an incident like this occurs during a game, I think it's having the confidence in yourself and your other teammates that you have the right to stamp this out right there and then and intervene in the situation. If it was a matter of someone from the crowd yelling out a racial slur to a teammate or to you yourself, it's notifying your coach, the officials, that something unacceptable has just occurred.
During the moment of racism, everyone should be able to intervene. So the umpire, the coach, a fan, a player, teammate, opposition player, anyone should be able to intervene because it is a serious issue and it does have a significant impact on people and need to treat it that way.
With the basketball teams that I coach and that we've set up, I always let my boys know to not react, because that's through my own lived experiences. We've always been discriminated or possibly even seen as the aggressor when we do react. So I always like to just tell them, hey, feel comfortable enough to come talk to me. I know this is a very tough moment.
If we don't act in the moment, what ends up happening is we let the narratives change. The narratives change because maybe parents, they don't understand racism, they don't understand what has happened. So therefore, they're not in a position to be able to really educate about what's right and what's wrong.
As soon as an instance of racism has occurred, everyone needs to know what options are available to them. Sometimes finishing the game is a bonus. If anyone doesn't feel safe, they should have the option to speak to the referee, to speak to their coaches, and stop the game at that moment and have a conversation and use that as a teachable moment.
Some common mistakes clubs make in this scenario would be to not support the victim enough, to not give them first and foremost the voice that they deserve when something like this happens to them, making assumptions of how they think the victim feels about it and acting accordingly of what they think the victim is feeling about it. And that might be completely off the mark. I think that's a huge one. And also I think the way that clubs then come out publicly about it, the victim ultimately has to be comfortable with that. It might be internally dealt with. They might not want it to go public.
Reflect on what you did right or what you didn't. Own your mistakes. Put the victim needs first. And then ask yourself, how successful were we in that outcome? I think most of the time that question does not occur and it ends up being, well, we think it's a good outcome. But is it really? The question here is go back to the victim needs and see how to deal with it. If it's dealt with effectively, I think we should have a framework here to how we can prevent this from happening going forward. And if it happened, how are we going to deal with it? Because we've already done the reflection.
After an incident of racism has occurred, I'd like to see, in forms of outcome, there be some form of penalty issued to the person that has racially vilified someone. We need to have a zero tolerance approach towards racism. If we don't, we'll continue to see people just, treating it as, racism as banter, as sledging, and, we'll normalise and accept this behaviour, and that's not acceptable.
What success would look like after this has been dealt with is, first and foremost, the victim feeling like they've been supported, the victim feeling like it was dealt with correctly, the victim not feeling like, I really wish that my club or coach would have done this, but leaving no stone unturned in that process. And then taking, I think, a lot of the pressure and weight off the victim's shoulders from a club's perspective. And that, again, is in the process of how they deal with it.